Three lifelong friends, 6 trusty balls, and endless NFL takes. Welcome to Three Guys, 6 Balls NFL podcast.
Welcome to episode 16 of Three Guys, 6 Balls. Today we have our third set of balls back on the show. Welcome back, Avery. We missed you last week.
Thanks. It's good to be back.
Today we're going to pick up right where we left off from last time. We didn't have Avery last time, but we were talking about the possibility of having an 0-17 team this season. Both Will and I decided that we don't think it's going to happen, but one of the teams that we thought could potentially do it that we didn't get a chance to talk about is the Tennessee Titans. And so what we're going to talk about to start off the show is specifically with the Tennessee Titans, what they've put around their rookie quarterback, Cam Ward. So for this, guys, let's talk about the Titans, what they have around Cam Ward. You can talk about Cam Ward if you want to. I don't want to talk specifically about Cam Ward and how he's going to perform. I want to focus just on what is around him. So let's go ahead and start with Avery. What do you kind of see as some of the biggest factors that are around Cam Ward right now? And how do you think that that his supporting cast is going to perform this season?
I'm excited. I think Cam Ward is that's kind of the main thing everyone's looking at, especially if they're one of the few teams that could potentially go 17 now. I really like Tyler Lockett. I know he had one of the least productive seasons in Seattle last year, and part of that might just be age. It might just be the scheme or the personnel and everything, but I like him. In fact, the only reason I started liking him is because of what he does on the field, which is avoid being hit at all costs. This guy will just go down. And I see that as, okay, this guy's got a good head on his shoulders and he wants to keep it that way. I see it as he's a smart dude. I think him and Ridley, but him especially just with his expertise and just a little bit more of a tactical way of looking at the game. I think that'll be able to help Cam Ward. The Titans are the team that's closest to me. They're an hour away. No one's really a Tennessee Titans fan here. No one's really an NFL fan at all. I don't think I've even seen an NFL jersey. I've seen more Cowboys jerseys than Saints, Falcons, and Titans jerseys here. But I'm going to go see one of the games. I'm really excited before they demolish Nissan Stadium. But I think the receiving core is going to be fun to watch. Tyler Lockett, mainly just for the production that he can usually put in. I see him a little bit like Ryan Switzer. I like saying him.
Again, nobody knows who that is except me and you.
I know. It's the only thing that I know about the NFL that other NFL fans don't. Unless they've been around for a little while. But yeah, no, I'm excited to see them more than anything.
Will, do you know who Ryan Switzer is?
No, of course not. I assume some small white guy who played slot receiver from some school, probably BYU, maybe North Carolina, if I had to guess.
Yes.
Keep. At this point, I want you to keep going. I'm like, you'll probably play for the Cowboys for a little bit, maybe the Raiders, the Steelers. I don't know. Who knows?
It sounded like you knew exactly who it was.
To be fair, Ryan Switzer does sound like a small, fast, shifty white guy.
I am just using general Avery context clues to put all of that together.
I'm not necessarily an enigma here.
I don't recognize the name enough to know he didn't play at Oregon, because that would be the other guess. But
Switzer, BYU is a pretty good guess.
That Ryan Switzer specifically, he probably served a mission in Utah specifically. If I had to guess, just given the name, probably sandy brown hair, probably about 5'8", 5'9", shredded, but because he's a small guy, one of those. It's really lean muscle, but it looks powerful.
He looks a little bit like Brock Purdy.
Let's look this guy up real quick here. Ryan Switzer, you said?
Ryan Switzer, yeah.
Ryan Switzer.
Like Switzerland, but minus the land.
Coach?
He might be, an offensive coordinator.
Former wide receiver. Man, 5'8", I hit this guy right in the head.
Context clues, man. Will, the mentalist over here.
No joke. Yeah, okay. This is fun. Good for him. Glad that he existed.
Yeah.
He played 3 seasons in the NFL. He had a total of 321 receiving yards and 1 touchdown.
That's bad.
He just wasn't used. He just wasn't used right. That's all.
Or he was just bad. There's that possibility too.
No.
I'd like to go back to Tyler Lockett here for a second, and this should go down as a win on our spreadsheet for me. Although it's not something I technically called, it's something I said would work perfectly. They being the Titans, have paired Xavier Restrepo up with Tyler Lockett.
Yes.
And I do believe I said that specifically. Hey, if you pair him up, if you pair Restrepo up, because he catches the ball, but his yards after the catch are like 12. Same thing with Tyler Lockett. His yards after the catch are very minimal. But again, like Avery said, he saves himself. He doesn't get hit. He doesn't get hurt. He makes the catch and goes down, and he lives to play another down. And now they've got, I was just doing a quick count. They've got 20, they, again being the Titans, have 20 new players on their offense, whether acquired through free agency or the draft. And again, this is obviously not starters. This is through their entire depth chart currently. And again, cuts have not been made yet. But right now in the offseason, they have 20 new players on their offensive roster listed on the current depth chart. That is so many new pieces around Cam Ward. Cam Ward is one of those 20. But they've got new receivers all over the place, just trying to do anything. Because obviously last year, it didn't work. And so, like Avery said, I'm excited to see what the Titans can do this year. I have zero faith in them. I mean, I'm thinking 3 wins max as a ceiling. But I'm excited to see what's going to happen.
You know, speaking of the amount of wins, their schedule, it's really not that tough of a schedule. So they start off at the Broncos, and then they are at home against the Rams. So those are 2 tough games to start the season. But then they've got the Colts, the Texans, Cardinals, Raiders, Patriots, Colts, Chargers, a bye, Texans, Seahawks, Jags, Browns, 49ers, Chiefs, Saints, and Jags. So there's some very winnable games in there. I mean, they only won 3 games last year with a very winnable schedule as well.
Your 2 quarterbacks were Will Levis and Mason Rudolph.
Yes.
Right, you didn't have your ceiling for quarterbacks was not very high. And we truly have no idea what the ceiling is going to be for Cam Ward at this point, but the expectation is high.
Let me ask you guys. Will Levis is kind of being held captive right now. He's got like $1 million contract for just 1 more year. And they're not going to release him or trade him because it's like he's basically free to keep. What do you guys think the chances are that Will Levis at any point in time, minus just injury, takes over for Cam Ward? Even if just for like, whether it's for a few games or even like to start the second half or something, is kind of like a, hey, we're going to test someone out, light a fire under your butt for a bit. What do you think the chances are?
I'd say 0.
0?
It's a terrible move to destroy.
There's a non-zero chance you could die by a squirrel. Non-zero.
Okay, fine. 1. It's 1%.
Okay. It's a terrible move, like to destroy a rookie's confidence like that. To put in last year's starter, who was terrible, but hey, you're not really cutting it, so we're gonna go away from you and make another decision here. That's not great, especially if you plan on going back to him. I mean, look at what the Niners did with, Trey Lance. They destroyed that guy's confidence after trading the world for him. I still don't think they go with Will Levis, though.
You think? Do you think he's done? Like, I mean, do you think he's done on the Titans? Done in the NFL? I mean, at that point, like, is he just like, hey, it's simply a QB depth chart, roster position in case Cam Ward falls apart and we just need someone who can throw a ball? Or is it like, hey, there might be something here? You know what I mean? Like with the Browns, it's like, hey, we got some new guys here. There could be something here. Like we're not willing to throw away anybody. But it sounds like Will Levis has kind of gotten to that point where it's like, dude, you're just here, man. Like at this point, like we're just actively punishing you. Like you're not gonna play, you're not getting paid, people losing respect for you. I don't know. Just seems like a tough position. But also,
I don't think he's. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was.
Okay, I'll speak.
I think on one hand, this could help. I think there's been several quarterbacks, I mean, probably more than several, who have lost the starting position that kind of lit a fire under them. Unfortunately, I think Cam Ward is one of those guys you probably won't be able to top just because he wasn't one of those highly rated guys coming out of high school. Like he worked his way up to that number 1 position. Also to Will Levis, hey, all you had to do to not be in this position was not be the worst team in the NFL. That's all you had to do. I mean, they still probably would have gotten a quarterback somewhere, but it wouldn't have been the number 1 quarterback.
Yeah, I don't think Will Levis is done in the NFL. I just don't think he's going to be a consistent starter ever. He might start some games here and there because of injury or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't see him being a consistent starter at all, regardless of where he goes.
Right. And besides Cam Ward, the Titans have Will Levis and then Brandon Allen. We all know him, obviously, San Francisco 49ers legend. Followed up with Tim Boyle as their their 3 backups. So it's not like they've got somebody breathing down Cam Ward's neck as, hey, your job's at risk. Like, whoever starts for the Browns, that's legitimately going to be a week-by-week competition. And they say if you have 2 starting quarterbacks, you have no starting quarterback. But the Browns are in that scenario where they've got like 4. The Browns are in that position where they've got like 4 starting quarterbacks right now. And so it really is going to be a real week-by-week thing. I don't think they're going to name a starter until they absolutely have to. But the Titans and luckily Cam Ward are not in that luxury of a position.
One name I'm surprised you didn't say, Avery, is Iomaner.
Yeah,
I'm surprised you didn't talk about him at all.
I didn't want to harp on the wide receivers too much. I think that's going to be exciting. I just think the wide receiver core and the quarterback is the only reason I would go watch a Titans game. Them and Derrick Henry. Oh, wait. No reason to watch them. That's probably why there's no Tennessee Titans fans over here.
No joke.
They have Chig Okonkwo.
Yeah.
He was on your brother's show.
That's the one episode of his podcast that I actually listened to. Shout out to the Save cast if you're a hardcore Iron Man RuneScape enthusiast. If not, just disregard everything I said. There's no reason to keep that in your memory at all.
All right, well, to continue going with what the Titans have put around Cam Ward. So one thing that I noticed when looking at the team overall is last season they allowed 52 sacks, and this offseason they've gotten a couple of guys who are free agents that they brought in. The one I like the most, though, is they brought in left tackle Dan Moore Jr. from the Steelers. Last season, he had a 92.5% pass block win rate, which was just outside the top 10 in the NFL. So I think that's going to help their offensive line a lot and help Cam Ward a lot because he's not going to have to worry like Will Levis had to worry last season about that spot on the field. Obviously, he's still going to have to, be aware of what's going on there, but I don't think that's going to be a problem for the Titans. And so I think that 52 sacks is going to come down, which is going to significantly help Cam Ward.
One thing I'm generally worried about for Cam Ward specifically and for the whole team is their offensive production. Last year they had Tony Pollard as their starting running back, who ran for just over 1,000 yards. And then behind him was Tajay Spears, who ran for 312. So you're not getting a lot of running help besides your starter. And then same thing, it's nearly the exact same thing in the receiving core as well. You had Calvin Ridley, who had a 1,000-yard season, only 4 touchdowns, but 1,000 yards receiving. And then your next person, oh yeah, here we go. Good name to butcher. Westbrook. Joe Westbrook.
That wasn't even.
No.
That wasn't even a real attempt at a name.
Okay, here we go.
It's Evans, Will.
It's yeah. Last year you had Nick Westbrook Akini. That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
That was pretty good. That was one of your better ones.
I will not get better. But he only had 497 yards, and you were expecting a lot more out of DeAndre Hopkins, and that just didn't happen. Your whole team just kind of didn't happen last year. If it wasn't for the one guy, you didn't have a real number 2. And so I'm hoping that with what's the number here? Your new wide receivers including backups, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new receivers in the building this year, and 1 new tight end in the building this year. So I mean, they are truly trying to start over. And like, okay, well, obviously what we had last year didn't work. Throw the whole system out and start over and try again. And I don't hate the strategy, because it's not like they can get worse. They already had the number 1 pick. It's not like losing 2 more or 3 more games this year is going to put them in a worse spot than they were in last year. They're just, all right, throw all this crap out and we'll try completely different next year.
Let's bring in more crap to get another number 1 overall pick. We're going to tank the season before it starts sinking. Like, we're going to bomb this thing before the maiden voyage.
I hope not.
Well, there's a rookie receiver that the Titans drafted in the 4th round.
No.
Can you look up his name and pronounce it for me?
DK Kamari? Kamir? That guy?
Camaro?
First of all, you said his name backwards.
Oh, sure. That checks out. There's a comment there. Kamir DK. Is it?
You pronounced the last name right. I thought you were going to say Tyke.
Are you just trying to set me up out here right now?
You played yourself.
You pronounced the last name right. Everybody just calls him Chim.
Chimir?
Chim DK.
I'm sure it's Chimir. Chimiri? I don't care. He's a Titans player. I could not care less. I can barely get Dak Prescott right.
That foreign dude.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really love the wide receivers for the Titans. I mean, Calvin Ridley's proven himself, I guess. Tyler Lockett's proven himself, but he's not going to be your number one guy. And then they've got a bunch of guys who are unproven. So kind of after those two, we don't really know what we're getting. So I guess we'll just kind of have to wait and see how that plays out. But one thing that I looked at when I was looking at what the Titans have put around Cam Ward was their defense, because that is going to play a significant factor in how well this team does. Last season, they allowed the third most points per game, but somehow they allowed the second least yards per game.
That somehow is because they were turning the ball over regularly. When you turn the ball over on your side of the 50 regularly, you don't give the other team an opportunity for yards. Sorry, but it's just the fact that
I guess that makes sense.
Or your punt coverage is terrible. So I don't know what their opposing starting field position average was, but it's probably very bad if you're a Titans fan.
I remember playing Madden as a kid and trying to boost my quarterback stats or my wide receiver stats. I think it was a wide receiver. And I wanted to get a really big yards per catch. And so it would piss me off when we got the ball on a turnover on like the opposing 20. And I'm like, the best I can get is 20 yards.
Yeah, honestly.
Trying to average 40. Are we playing with a little bit of room?
So I reached out to a Titans fan. I reached out to Titans Talk 615 on Instagram because I wanted to get a Titans fan's perspective on the defense. So kind of what he told me is the secondary is the strongest part of the defense. The run defense struggled last year, and he thinks they'll be better this year. And then the edge rushing group is still the part of the defense that needs a lot of work. So if you look at the numbers, everything he said matches up. They allowed the second least passing yards per game, so the secondary is the strongest part of the defense. They were 26th in rushing yards allowed, so the defense struggled against the run last year. And then their edge rushing, they had 32 sacks last season, which was third least in the league. They did not have a double-digit sack guy. Their leading guy had 9 sacks, but he's now with the Patriots. So you no longer have your leading sack guy from last season. You actually lost 2 of your top 4 guys in sacks. And this is kind of the main reason, the main thing that makes me think the Titans have potential to go 0-17. They cannot rush the quarterback. They can't get to the quarterback. And when you can't get to the quarterback, quarterbacks are going to carve you up. Here's who they have as their starting front 7 listed on ESPN right now, and the amount of sacks that each of these players had last season. So Sebastian Joseph Day had 2.5. Devondre Sweat had 1. Jeffrey Simmons had 5. Draymond Jones had 4. Cody Barton had 1.5. Otis Reese had 0. And Arden Key had 6.5. So in total, the players who are listed as the Titans' starting front 7 right now had a combined 20.5 sacks accounted for last year. How are you going to win games if you can't get to the quarterback?
By scoring more points than them. But yeah, no, they're not going to win.
I found the answer to my question here. The average starting field position for the Titans' opponents in 2024 was the 41 and a third yard line. So you are at, what's that, 59 yards of a drive? That's all you have to do is go 59 yards.
That's all they had to do?
59 yards is all they had to go, which is not.
And what's field goal range?
2 first downs away.
Like the
40?
40?
Honestly, yeah. You're going 20 yards for a first down, so yeah, you're right. 2 first downs away. That's crazy.
So all they had to do to score points is go 20 yards.
Yes.
But if no one's getting to the quarterback, it's like, why don't we just keep passing the ball?
Seriously, though. I mean, you joke, but that's real.
I mean, again, going back to their schedule, the quarterbacks aren't, it's not like a gauntlet of quarterbacks that they have to go through, honestly. But still, even a bad quarterback, when they have time, can carve you up.
I'm going to have to watch a Titans game that has a fun away team coming that's got a sweet offense, so I can just watch them. I can watch them get some amazing offensive highlights.
Chargers, Texans, Chiefs.
I could watch Herbert do that.
You can watch your boy Drake May.
Oh.
Week 7.
Okay. Since it's Patriot, well, Tom Brady's not there anymore. I'm trying to figure out like what I realized when I was looking at those Raider game tickets, I was realizing, I guess some teams just have more value to them. Like the Jaguars Raiders is one price. The Cowboys Raiders is a completely separate price.
Yep.
Yes.
Do you guys have anything else to add about the Titans?
They're sucking, they're going to keep sucking.
All right. We'll leave it at that. Well, since we're on the topic of the Titans, let's talk about a former Titan who Avery had already mentioned, Derrick Henry. This is my game. What I want you guys to do for the game is I want you guys to compare 5 running backs to Derrick Henry, and all of these running backs are in the top 20 all time in rushing. I want you guys to compare Derrick Henry in his prime to these 5 running backs in their prime and tell me who you would rather have.
Oh,
Okay, so the first one, Derrick Henry or Edgerrin James?
I actually would take Derrick Henry.
I would take Derrick Henry also.
Yeah, I'd take Derrick Henry. I'm looking
Okay.
at his stats. I'll take Derrick Henry.
All right, second guy, Derrick Henry or LaDainian Tomlinson?
Oh,
LT.
Any specific reason as to why?
Because I think he's better than Derrick Henry.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm also going to take LT. As complete as Derrick Henry is, I just think LT is a better running back. And he was more hindered by his team because he was only ever on the Chargers, at least as far as I remember.
No, he played for the Jets.
Oh, you're right. Just like Brett Favre, we don't really count that, do we? Just like Aaron Rodgers, we won't count that either. And so I think it's just a guy who was hindered by his team, and Derrick Henry had moved around more. If Derrick Henry had spent his whole career on the Titans, we'd be talking about the same thing. A great player hindered by his team.
Well, with the Ravens, he was hindered by Mark Andrews' hands.
Well, yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
LT 2006. Did the Chargers not have a quarterback? How do you rush for 28 touchdowns?
You throw the ball to the 1 yard line every time, and then you just run it in for a touchdown.
Holy moly.
That's almost like the receivers were trying to go down at the 1.
His second best season was the season right before that where he got 18 touchdowns. He blew that number out of the water by 10. That's literally quarterback numbers. Yikes.
Yeah. Okay. Next guy, Derrick Henry or Adrian Peterson?
Well, it depends.
On what?
If we're talking about whole package, I'll take Henry. But if we're talking minus the injuries and the fighting after losing some gambling that we saw like a couple days ago. Did you see that video?
I did not.
Oh, okay, he was in the news. Forgot about him. Yeah, I'll take Henry based on the actual completed body of work. I think Adrian Peterson had more potential, though.
Okay. Will, who would you take?
I actually very much agree with what Avery said there. I think Adrian Peterson had more potential than he played up to, which is rough to say because he had a great season, a great career. But I think I'd also take Derrick Henry. Very similar style running backs.
And just so you guys know, each time I say a running back's name, the guy is moving up the list of all-time rushers. So Edgerrin James was 13th, LT was 7th, Adrian Peterson's 5th. So this next guy is 3rd on the list. It's Derrick Henry or Frank Gore.
How many years has Derrick Henry played football? What is his
9.
career? 9?
9.
Frank Gore played for what, 35?
But this
40?
is in their prime though. In their prime.
I think Derrick Henry.
Yeah, Derrick Henry. I think Frank Gore just had a longer career. It's like LeBron and
He did.
MJ. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the last one, the all-time leading rusher, Derrick Henry versus Emmitt Smith.
I guess Emmitt Smith.
I mean, am I allowed to say anything else?
I'm not going to say Derrick Henry is the top running back of all time.
I'm not
Well,
going to.
a lot of people don't think Emmitt Smith is the top running back of all time, even though he's the leading rusher and he leads in rushing touchdowns. A lot of people say it's Barry Sanders. A lot of people say it's Jim Brown. A lot of people don't think Emmitt Smith is the top running back. They think he's top 5, but they don't think he's the top running back of all time.
Dude, this dude was consistent. Dude, just a straight up just bell curve of his career. Just starting off rookie, prime, and then just that slow descent. No like weird like, oh, I didn't play, I was hurt this whole time. You know, I guess the second to last season he missed some games.
I think he played 10 games.
He was just there every time.
Yeah. And that's part of the reason why he's the all-time leading rusher and he leads in rushing touchdowns is because he wasn't hurt that often.
What does that mean for running backs now? Considering they just seem every year, they just seem to have shorter and shorter shelf life. I'm curious. Like, I was under the impression that, football in the 90s and early 2000s was just a lot rougher back then. Plus, you didn't have the sports medicine, sports science and stuff to, like, if you had the money and cared about it, to, like, keep your body in tip-top shape. I mean, I'm just still thinking about back to that first. Say what?
The answer is hard drugs.
Yeah, I mean, like Lawrence Taylor. He ran on cocaine. He broke bones on cocaine.
But you didn't feel pain because you were so doped up in every possible way.
Did they have bath salts back then? because that would...
They had them. I don't know if they were using them. Just quick bath salts Google, no problem.
No, I'm not using
The answer is
Google.
Emmitt Smith, right? Like obviously. Even in Derrick Henry's prime, I don't think he's doing the things Emmitt's doing.
How close would it be, though?
Mm.
Like, is it like there's no question it's Emmitt Smith? Or, like, was Derrick Henry even in consideration at all?
I mean, it has to be in consideration, but I don't think I would ever pick Derrick Henry over Emmitt Smith.
Is that just because you're a Cowboys fan?
It's got to be. It's got to be Cowboys bias pulling all the way through here, and I have no problem admitting it. I will say it with no issue. I'm a Cowboys fan, so I want good Cowboys players to be continuously recognized.
Okay.
Oh, ChatGPT thought I was talking about smelling salts. I quickly corrected it, and it just gave me an emphatic no. It would not make you better on bath salts. It would make you complain less about injuries, coordination, judgment, like spatial and time awareness, like out the window, but you wouldn't get hurt, at least like while you're on the bath salts. So
It's hard-hitting journalism right there.
in case you guys wanted to know, yeah, no one's taking bath salts. No one's doing bath salts outside the bath.
All right. Okay, so I have another question for you guys about Derrick Henry. So Emmitt Smith had 18,335 rushing yards and 164 rushing touchdowns in 15 seasons. In 9 seasons, Derrick Henry has 11,423 rushing yards and 106 rushing touchdowns. Do you think that Derrick Henry could either break the rushing yards record or the rushing touchdowns record by the time his career is over?
So you said
I need to like see these numbers. I
Yeah,
can't
11
visualize that.
11,000 to 18,000, right? Yards.
Yep.
So he's got 7,000 more to go.
It's like 6,900. It's a little bit less than 7,000.
Okay.
Emmitt Smith played 15 seasons. Derrick Henry's played 9. Derrick Henry is currently tied for 6th on the all-time rushing touchdowns list with 106. Emmitt Smith had 164, and he had 18,335 yards and Derrick Henry has 11,423 rushing yards. So basically, in 6 more seasons, do you think Derrick Henry can get just over 6,900 rushing yards?
Well, he's going to get 2,000 this year.
He's going to
think
get
so?
2,000 rushing yards this year?
We've all seen that thing, right? Adam Sandler, Derrick Henry.
If he gets 2,000, he's
He's
going to be in an
2,000
Adam
rushing
Sandler
yards.
movie.
In an Adam Sandler movie. That's a bigger incentive than his contract. He gets to go to dinner with Adam Sandler and be in a movie with lines. I believe it said major role, something like that.
If you do this really tough task, I will get you dinner and give you an additional job.
Yeah.
Honestly, here's the thing. This is how I see it. Because Henry, for all intents and purposes, has basically had 2,000-yard seasons. I'll just give it to him for this last one. He's at 19,
Almost, yeah.
21. I would be surprised. I would be blown away if he has the endurance and the what's the word for just like being able to protect his body
Durability?
for the durability. It's simple. It's how big he is. I just feel like for the most part, I mean, even in the NBA, a lot of sports, I mean, just the bigger you are, the harder it is to stay healthy. The fact that he's been doing it at this level for what? I mean, 8 years now, 9 years. That's impressive, but I don't see it continuing. I could see him breaking the record if he is hell-bent on getting it and sticks around the NFL just to get it. Other than that, I don't think he'll get it.
What about rushing touchdowns? He's 58 rushing touchdowns away.
58.
I mean, that's realistically
It's still-
that's 5 seasons.
With as big as Derrick Henry
Honestly,
is,
maybe it's probably just 4 seasons. If he maintains, average production,
which is 11.77 touchdowns a season so far in his career.
I think he could do it. I just know there's a steep drop off, man. Like it's like one injury, and that's like the snowball going down the snowy mountain, man.
If he averaged 11.77 the rest of his career, it'd be 5 more seasons for him to break the record. He'd have to average 11.77 rushing touchdowns for 5 more seasons.
I mean, here's the thing. I'm looking at like Adrian Peterson's stats. I mean, if you talked about his first 7 years, you'd be like, this guy is the greatest running back, and I see no end in sight. Next season, he has 75 yards, with the exception of the year after that where he got 1,500.
Well, wasn't the
next year.
75 because he got suspended, though?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, though, is like, again, that's not, I mean, I'm sure Derrick Henry can keep his nose clean, But besides that, I mean, after the next 1,500-yard season, 72 yards, 81 yards. Oh, and that was, because he was with two different teams. Basically 500 yards, 1,000, 800, 600, 82, 16. I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in running backs, especially when we're talking about like chasing like a career milestone, I guess.
I just think Derrick Henry is just such a big guy that even when he's older and, he's been used and abused as a running back, you can still put him in at the 1 yard line. And all he has to do is just get 1 yard. I think he's going to be good at that for a very long time. Even when he's not the guy who's running 90 yards down the field for a touchdown, he's big enough, and I think he takes care of his body very well. I think he's going to be very good at getting rushing touchdowns for a long time.
I mean, speaking of a guy like that, even Jerome Bettis, who was like the master of 1 yard touchdowns, after he turned 30, he got 7 touchdowns at age 31. He got 13 touchdowns at age 32, but then he got 9 touchdowns at age 33, and then he was done. And then a few more years after he turned 30, because the bigger guys, they get hit harder because you have to hit them harder to take them down, especially when you're jamming them together at the 1 yard line. Now, I could be completely off base here, but Jalen Hurts only has, realistically, a few more years of the tush push because his body just physically can't take that kind of dog pile year after year after year doing it that many times.
And it's going to get banned.
It probably won't. Not until the wording is actually accurate. I just think that, like Avery said, there's the downturn in a running back's tenure is incredibly high. Even on his new team where he's not the end-all be-all. He's got Lamar. He's got other players in there who are going to take the pressure off of him. I still just don't see him breaking either record. They're going to be incredibly hard to break for everyone.
Honestly, I feel like with this, it really comes down to like how much Derrick Henry wants it. If it's something where he says, oh, I'm going to break that record, I'd honestly probably believe he would. If it's something I believe that he's trying to get to that, then yeah. If it's like I want to win a Super Bowl, I don't see him pushing himself to get there. I see it more as winning. It's that same thing as like kneeing the ball on the 1 yard line to help your team win, but piss off all your fantasy owners.
Okay, so final question with this segment. If Derrick Henry breaks either the rushing yards or rushing touchdowns record, is he the greatest running back of all time?
No, I don't think so. It's the same guy who holds both of them right now.
No. And to bring the basketball reference in, if he does that, I would consider him the LeBron James of running backs, where he's an incredible physical specimen, has produced a lot, but is not the best ever. Whereas like LeBron is like, yeah, you are a freak athlete. You are incredible. You've won championships. You've played longer than like basically anyone else, but you're not the best. You just have an incredible talent. But there's been, at least one other guy that's just got you beat.
That's fair. All right. So let's move on to our next topic. This is a fan question. And yes, I'm going to dox him. This is my former coworker, Jairo Alvarez, who I worked with at Enterprise. Unfortunately,
even
I
a
did
place
work for
of
Enterprise.
employment.
Yes, and he still does work there in Carson City, Nevada.
Oh,
so if you want to find him, that's where you to go.
If you hate this question, you know where to find him.
Shout out, what's your name?
Jairo.
Shout out Jairo.
All right, so here's the question from Jairo. Can Shedeur Sanders win the Browns quarterback competition? And I'm going to put in here, like, actually win. Not just, like, come in because somebody else sucks. Can he actually win the Browns quarterback competition? What do you guys think?
Can he? In a world full of possibilities? Yes.
I'm going to go with your 1% from earlier. Because there is, as mentioned, a more than statistical zero we're going to get killed by a squirrel. So
There's a non-zero chance.
There is, I won't say there's a zero chance. There's a statistical possibility, yes. But who is in that quarterback room? Browns. This is what you get for asking questions this.
I can tell you. You've got Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, and Deshaun Watson, technically.
On ESPN, Shedeur Sanders isn't even listed as in the top 4 here.
That is correct, but Deshaun Watson is also listed as the starter.
He is currently. I think the answer is no. It is actually no. Because if the season starts to turn down on them, they will go back to old reliable Joe Flacco, the Raven himself, and just let him take over. I don't think they mess around with another, like if it's Dylan Gabriel, and Dylan Gabriel doesn't pan out, I don't think they mess around with another rookie. I don't think they do that this year. I think they go to a seasoned vet and then try a different rookie out next year or in the offseason. Or give these people more experience under a starter. Because we've seen time and time again, look at Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love, and the list goes on, of these rookies who sit behind starters, veteran starters, for a few years, and they come into the league. They come in as a starter after a few years with the actual skills and experience of what to do and how to do it. I think it's incredibly beneficial. And if they don't go with Joe Flacco from the get, I think they pick one and then shift to Joe Flacco partway through the year.
I'm going to go ahead and say, and you can put this on your spreadsheet, I think Sanders plays for another team before he gets named the official starter. I think he could come in and start a game. It's one of those, like, test it out. We'll see how it goes. Like, oh, he's going to be our starter for this game. But by the time an organization says that he's our guy, he'll be playing for a different team.
Interesting.
We'll see.
So I think the answer to this question is no for this year, but yes for next year. So here's the reason why it's no for this year. Shedeur is the only quarterback who has not received a single first-team rep. Every other quarterback, well, I guess not Deshaun Watson, but every other quarterback has received first-team reps. The only one who hasn't is Shedeur. He's been stuck playing with the backups. Now, one thing I will say about Shedeur is he seems to have changed his attitude a little bit. And obviously, I'm not there, so I can go based off of is videos and quotes.
Is this after he got arrested?
He didn't get arrested, just a speeding ticket.
Oh, sorry.
Technically, it's a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
It's a misdemeanor, technically.
Yeah. Is this after his misdemeanor, his attitude started to change, or before?
I can't.
In between the two tickets. In between the
two tickets? I didn't hear about the second one.
Yeah, he's gotten two.
Oh,
the notification came out after he got the second one. Yeah,
his attitude was too good, and the second one had to put him back in the middle.
Here's a ticket Here's a ticket for being too polite, sir.
So
it was condescending. Boy, you're getting another ticket. Jeez. All right.
Sorry.
All right. So Shedeur was asked about his lack of first-team reps, and here's what he had to say. You could view things as you're not getting reps in a negative way, or you could view it as, okay, when is it my time to get out there? Let's be proactive. Let's get warm. And let's get going. So there's no excuses because when you get out there, nobody cares how many reps you got whenever you get in the game. Nobody cares if you took a snap before. Everybody cares about production. So that's the main thing. When you get out there, you got to be able to produce. I don't think pre-draft we would have ever heard that from Shedeur Sanders.
Can you repeat the first part of that quote?
Yeah, he said you could view things as you're not getting reps in a negative way, or you could view it as, okay, when is it my time to get out there? Let's be proactive.
That's like me asking for a raise and then be like, no. And then my buddy being like, oh, that's got to hurt. Like, no, you could see it as they're not giving me my money is a bad thing. But I see it as, when am I getting my money? I don't know.
I think I understand what he was trying to say. I can definitely be taken as what you're saying, I agree. But I don't know. I don't view that as much of an attitude change to me personally, because it can be taken in different ways. And we don't know. I mean, I didn't hear him say it. I wasn't there at the press conference. I didn't hear the whole thing. I didn't see his body language. It's easy to act professional. I mean, look at Cam Newton, right? It's easy to act professional until something goes wrong. And then you just act like a big whiny baby. And I'm not saying that Shedeur's a big whiny baby. I am saying that Cam Newton was. But I don't think it's going to last. That's the problem, is that history is going to win out in this. And chances are he's going to revert back to his old ways.
I feel like that the Browns are kind of like purposely not giving him first team reps. I don't think it's actually because of how he's performing, because if you look at his performance, he's gone 41 of 53 in completions. That's 77.4%. Granted, it's with backups, but still that's a very high completion percentage. He's thrown 9 touchdowns and 1 interception, and that's in OTAs and minicamp combined. When Shedeur Sanders has been in there, he's done really well. And again, I know it's with the second team, but when he's in practice, he's producing numbers. He's showing that he can play in the NFL. And I just feel like the Browns are purposely not putting him at first team just to kind of humble him up a little bit and really make himself earn his way to that starting spot. I feel like if the Browns would have drafted him in the first round, like they did with Brandon Weeden and Johnny Manziel. It's like, okay, the starting spot is yours. But that's not the case with Shedeur. He didn't get drafted in the first round. The starting spot is not just his, like it's always been his entire career, regardless of the level he's played at. This is the first time where he's really had to earn that spot. And I think that the Browns are purposely kind of stringing that out for Shedeur to see how he handles the situation. And then when he's ready, they're going to put him in as a starter. And I don't think it's going to be this season, but I think it's going to be next season.
This might also be the first time that he's actually not the best quarterback on the roster. That might also be the case.
Yeah.
That he is.
Yeah.
He granted, it seems like he's always been given the spot, but it's also very possible he's just been the best quarterback available. And
I mean, he's played at Jackson State in Colorado, so let's
and
hope
high
that
school.
He was the best. And in high school.
Wherever he went to high school.
I went to high school with Coach Prime's son. I was better than him.
I'm sure there are people who
flex.
believe that. But, yeah, this happens to a lot of these guys where they're the best guy in college and high school when they get to the NFL, and it's just not, they're no longer the big fish anymore.
Yeah, I don't think, like I said, I think he's not going to be the starter until he's on a different team. I think when it's all said and done, the Browns is going to be a time of his life that he doesn't like to talk about very much.
Well, especially if Dylan Gabriel or somehow Kenny Pickett works out. Like, if one of these younger guys works out, there's no reason for the Browns to keep Shedeur. Use him as trade capital. Use these OTAs and minicamp stats that you've let him acquire as trade bait and get him out of there. Get him to the Saints. The Saints always need a quarterback right now. There's lots of room out there for good young quarterbacks, and the Raiders don't have a succession plan. I mean, the Seahawks will probably be looking for a quarterback about week 7. There's lots of teams out there that are going to be looking for quarterbacks, and so.
What ironic though, because every single one of those teams passed up on him more than once.
Well, I mean, the Browns did that too, right? They even picked a quarterback before him.
Yeah,
so.
That's true.
I wonder if they're going to actually do anything to try to raise his trade value before that. Because if you get the guy that late in the draft, don't use him, and then be like, all right, we're trying to get rid of him. Anyone want him? Like, dude, you just proved our point for not drafting him. Like, no, we don't want him.
Let me ask you guys this. If Shedeur goes out and he just balls in the preseason, do you think that a team would inquire about trading for him?
Yes, absolutely. I absolutely do.
This year or next year?
No, I even think this year.
No, I could see it this year. Just because it's not the Browns quarterback situation isn't a secret, and I think trading to remove a piece from that puzzle is probably a good thing for the Browns. It's like, don't make us choose. Someone just offer us something for one of these guys so we can make our decision easier.
And I think that I was just about to say the same thing. This preseason for the Browns is going to be very interesting because you've really got 3 games to assess 4 plus Deshaun Watson quarterbacks to figure out who you're going to go with. And yeah, sure, your shared practices and your OTAs and your mini camps and this, that, and the others is going to give you a lot of what you want to know. But those preseason games are really going to matter. And I'm interested in who they're going to start in that second preseason game, when it's usually your starters out there for a full quarter or maybe even a full half. It's going to be real interesting as we approach August to watch that happen.
If you guys had to pick right now, make your prediction, who's going to be the starter week 1?
Joe Flacco.
I would say it's Flacco too. Well, thanks again to Jairo for the question about the Browns. We appreciate you listening to the show and reaching out to us with a question for us to answer on the show. So we've got one more segment on the show today, and this topic idea was actually Will's idea.
Oh, no.
So I'm going to let Will lead this one. Take it away.
I'm not good at this. This is why I don't host. But I guess here we are. So, Joel, I'm going to pitch the question to you first. So what do you think? I'll have to ask the question.
So, what do we got?
What are your takes? So there are a large amount of college football players that like to make it to the pros and that we want to see in the pros, and from our favorite teams and some from not. So, Joel, let's start with you. Who is your favorite player in college? Maybe not your actual favorite player, but somebody who you watched in college that you were excited to see in the pros that just didn't pan out. They should have had a better career than they had, and they just didn't pan out.
I'm going to start by saying that I don't have a favorite player who didn't pan out because I'm such a good draft analyst that all my favorite players are always
All right,
successful.
Avery, what's your take? Moving on. I'm the host. Too bad.
You lose.
All right, Joel, what you got?
Okay. So I went with Melvin Gordon.
Oh.
Melvin Gordon in 2014 was exciting to watch. He was basically all the people who were watching Ashton Genty at Boise State last season. That's what we got from Melvin Gordon in 2014. Here's his stats: 343 carries, 2,587 rushing yards, 7.5 yards a carry, 29 touchdowns.
Is this college?
This is college.
Okay.
This is 2014, his last
Just
year at
one
Wisconsin.
season?
That's just one season.
Shapers.
Dude, that's in the Big Ten too. That's not.
Yeah.
That's not
Yeah.
Mountain
So
West.
He had an Ashton Genty season before Ashton Genty did it this last season. So then he goes to the NFL. He gets drafted by the Chargers 15th overall in 2015. His rookie season, he runs for 641 yards in 14 games, and he averages 3.5 yards a carry. He did not have one single touchdown his rookie year. Not one.
I'm sure that made fantasy owners thrilled.
Oh, yeah. So I reached out to our buddy Tim from Answer the Call because he's a Chargers fan, and I texted him and I said,
And he
"Do
said,
you
"I
think
don't want to
Melvin
talk
Gordon-"
about this."
Yeah. No, I said, "Do you think Melvin Gordon was a bust?" And he was like, "Oh, absolutely." He was like, when you consider the overall bust, like you're not Jamarcus Russell status, but he's drafting him 15th overall with that type of a season. He didn't ever live up to the hype. In his whole career, he had one 1,000-yard rushing season, which was in 2017. He played a full 16-game schedule twice. He averaged less than 4 yards a carry in 6 of his 9 NFL seasons. So after having a historic rushing season at Wisconsin in 2014, he goes to the NFL. He doesn't even come close to what people thought he was going to be. He probably would have been the first running back taken in that draft, but there was a guy named Todd Gurley who was drafted ahead of him. Now, let's compare Ashton Genty's season last year to Melvin Gordon. Ashton Genty had 374 carries, 2,601 rushing yards. So before Ashton Genty became second in single season rushing yards, it was Melvin Gordon. Ashton Genty averaged 7 yards a carry, and he had the same amount of touchdowns with 29. And they both finished second in Heisman voting. Also, something very similar between the two is they were both drafted in the top half of the draft by AFC West teams. So I want to ask you guys, does this give you any sort of caution when it comes to Ashton Genty?
No, I think those are. I think those are irrelevant stats. I think they also have the same birthstone and zodiac sign, and both of their mothers' middle name is Anne. I think, it could happen, but not for any of those reasons. I don't. I mean, it could be something where it's like, oh, this dude's just too small, or the defenders are just catching him. All the breakaway runs, because I would love to know how many yards did Genty get after first contact, because that's what would change more than anything. Is you were shedding tackles left and right, but as soon as you come across some more competent defenders that can actually wrap up, it's gonna be a different story. However, that wasn't Melvin Gordon's story. It wasn't like, oh, these guys are just a little bit better, it was like, no, dude, you're just not that good anymore. But no, I don't. I think, if I were to place a bet, I would say absolutely he has a better season than Melvin Gordon. And if he doesn't, I will be blown away. And I'll say, all right, those were not irrelevant stats.
I think everybody would be blown away. But Will, what do you think?
I kind of agree with Avery with you. Those are kind of irrelevant. I also think that the football time span, I guess, the play styles of teams, the era of game that we're in is so different now. And it doesn't seem like that long ago, but it's so different now to when Melvin Gordon was playing. Nope, that's the wrong guy. No, it's the right guy. Melvin Gordon's the right guy. Todd Gurley's the other guy. Melvin Gordon is the right guy. The times are just so different now than when Melvin Gordon was drafted that Ashton Genty's coming into a different league. And it's a full different scenario nowadays. So I think the two are truly incomparable.
Okay, I think that's fair.
Avery, who you got?
I want to start with an honorable mention.
Ooh, yeah.
Colt Brennan.
Ooh. Okay.
You guys remember him?
Mm-hmm.
That little sidearm tossing boy out of Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Turns out, dude was just not, just didn't have it together. I think he ended up ODing on something, and then he like got in trouble with the law.
After OD?
He was at one school. No. If he ever comes back, he's on the hook for a lot. No, I think he was playing somewhere, got kicked off the team, played at some JUCO team, and then went to Hawaii as a walk-on. So it's one of those things where it's like, dude, just keep your nose clean. But still ended up putting insane numbers. Then couldn't cut it in the NFL. But the actual guy I want to talk about is Mitchell Trubisky. I honestly, for this, I feel bad for the guy. I watched Carolina football when he was sitting on the bench for 2 years. I remember Marquise Williams was their quarterback, and he wasn't the most accurate. He wasn't anything great, but like he was a mobile quarterback. He just made good decisions for the most part. They made it to the ACC championship, got bent over by Clemson. And it was interesting because they had a lot of offensive weapons, Marquise Williams last season, and a lot of guys that would come over to the next year. Some good guys actually left, but the whole thing was, I remember, because Trubisky would come in a few times a game, like usually towards the end, and he'd make some passes and it'd be fine. And I just remember, like, well, Marquise Williams is so good. He's out there just Michael Vicking it up. And I remember the beginning of the season where Trubisky started, and I like before the first game, people saying this guy is going to be first round talent, maybe even like top 10. And I'm like, we talking about the same guy, the guy who's been on the bench the past 2 years? And they're like, look at his size, look at his stat. Like, dude's so calm. Look at him on the bench. Look how calm he is. It's like, yeah, he's sitting on the bench. And I remember back then trying to look up, like, what am I not seeing? Why the hell was Larry Fedora not playing this guy? That was their coach. He got fired later for just not a great coach. But I'm getting so distracted. Basically, he never did anything. He hadn't done anything. It was all just, oh, he did really well in high school, and some scouts saw him, and then it just became that, like, the hype got out of control. People are like, no one's really seen him play yet, but, like, from everything we've seen, this guy can really ball out. He's really special. Might be even, a little under the radar. And then everyone started talking about him. And I remember, he finished, like, I think he threw, like, 3,600 yards, 30 touchdowns, 6 picks. I'm like, average. Like you're a starting quarterback. And then he got drafted crazy high. Over who were the other guys? Deshaun Watson was in that. Patrick Mahomes. Granted, Patrick Mahomes was not Patrick Mahomes at that time. You can say, oh no, how could you skip over Patrick Mahomes? Like, dude, Kermit the Frog playing at Texas Tech. Like, I'm sorry, it's not. No one was like, this is the guy. But I just feel bad because Trubisky never really had a shot to prove himself. He was kind of just riding that high. And he's like, who is he going to be to be the guy to be like, hey, guys, I'm not that great. Like, you guys haven't even seen me play that much. I've only started for one season. And you guys are going to put me up there because I have good athleticism. Like, not even athleticism. Size, form, weight. Like, that's like... any guy off the street could have that. That doesn't mean he's going to be a good quarterback. And the one season he's had to play wasn't anything special. So I just feel like a lot got put on him, and then he came in to Chicago like he didn't turn the franchise around.
Neither has any other quarterback in their entire history.
The Burrs. Anyway, he's not that great. But you guys, the Chicago Bears, are idiots for thinking he was anything more than that. And they're going to put it on him. Dude, this is you guys. You guys suck. You guys sold the farm for this man, this mediocre man, who's a good guy, cool guy, not worth all that, and then you put it on him. Instead of looking at yourself for misevaluating this guy, you're like, no, he sucks. He screwed us. He drafted himself and paid himself all that money to screw us. Screw the Bears, dude.
I apologize for
Do you guys think that's the worst? Do you guys think the Mitch Trubisky trade is the worst trade?
Robert Griffin III would like to enter the call here. Yeah. That trade's got to be worse, right? That trade's got to be way worse, especially for the production. I guess the team in Washington did get more
got
production.
Injured though. Like the reason his career was short is because of his injury though.
Okay, but the best ability is availability, right?
I know, but nobody could have predicted that.
Didn't he have ACL injuries at Baylor? Didn't he have knee problems his whole career?
Do you remember when they had all those commercials for the Heisman for RG3, like the most interesting man in college football? Do you guys remember those?
Mm-hmm.
Jeez. The Bears sent over the 3rd overall pick for the next year.
Yeah,
Third
he
round,
tore
a
his
4th
ACL.
round, and another 3rd round.
Sorry, didn't catch up. He tore his ACL as a sophomore year in college. And then later, and did that in 2009, and in 2013, tore it again. We can't say we're surprised. I don't know.
You think that's worse than the Bears trading for Trubisky? Then?
I don't know if it's worse, but it's up there. It's not worse than it's not, oh, I got it. It's not worse than the Trey Lance trade. Trey Lance has got to be the worst trade.
Yeah,
Worst
I'll
draft
give you that
trade.
one.
Hey, trivia question. Who did the Niners take 3rd overall in the 2017 draft?
Is it DeForest Buckner?
Right after
Is
Trubisky.
it DeForest Buckner? No? Are you asking or telling?
Maybe. I'm wondering.
Oh,
well, I know
you
it's
don't
not a
have an
quarterback.
answer. Oh, I thought usually when you ask a trivia
No.
question, you have an answer.
If I ask
Solomon
a question,
Thomas.
I'm not going to waste your time when I know the answer. Who is it?
Solomon Thomas.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Solomon Thomas.
Were they on the verge of picking Trubisky? I'm just now reviewing what they traded. The Bears had the 3rd overall pick, and they, in order to get the 2nd overall pick, they gave the Niners their pick right after them, and then a 3rd, a 4th, and another 3rd round pick. Were the Niners about to pick him?
Yeah, but the way that works
hope so.
is that the Bears get word, probably from the Niners, that somebody else is trying to trade into that spot. Hey, man, we're fielding other calls for this, and so they feel like it's a fear tactic. You're afraid you're going to lose your guy, so you have to move up one spot for it. It's business.
Dang, Will, I was being mean to the Bears. You're going, this is violent, dude. The Bears suck. Why would you do that? Unless they were going to pick it. Oh, my gosh.
All right, let's move on. All right, we'll finish us off.
That seems oddly sexual.
Finish us off.
The same time.
Anyway, I picked Darren McFadden, Arkansas Razorback legend. In 3 years, he had 4,500, almost 4,600 rushing yards and 41 touchdowns in the SEC. And this is back 2005, 2006, 2007. So back when football was football.
Oh,
I know what I said. This is a guy who played football.
here's a guy.
He was second in Heisman voting twice, back-to-back seasons. Lost to, I believe it was Troy Smith and then Tim Tebow, thank you. Which probably should have beat Troy Smith. Finished with almost 5,000 scrimmage yards. I don't believe he started all 3 years, well, all games, all 3 years.
Wait, wasn't Colt Brennan in that Heisman race?
It's possible. He also notably played on the same Arkansas Razorback team as Madden legend Peyton Hillis and Felix Jones. Now, not Madden legend, but played in the same era Arkansas team as Felix Jones. I was trying to watch some of his highlights earlier today, but they're in standard definition, and so it's hard to view them on YouTube. Because who wants to watch that garbage anymore?
What's standard
That's
definition?
what I'm saying.
High is the new low.
And his, 10 years in the league, if you count the last two where he played 4 games total in his last 2 seasons, he only ever had 2 seasons over 1,000 yards because he was just riddled with injury after injury after injury. But when he was in, it was like instant highlight. He was very effective. Fun to watch. His problem was the fact that he was on the Raiders, honestly. That was his big problem. He was on the Raiders back when the Raiders were inconsistent, we'll call it.
Isn't that right now?
But they've been inconsistent long enough. It's actually consistent now. From 2008 to this is back when they had like the baseball field in the middle of their stadium still.
This is back when their inconsistency was new.
From 2008 to 2015, before he really got hurt, he totaled 5,300 rushing yards, over 2,000 receiving yards. He was just an instant highlight. He was putting people in the dirt. He was doing the things that we see Derrick Henry doing now, breaking tackles, pushing people over, all that kind of stuff. But before his time, really, in college, he was huge in the Wildcat. He threw 13 passing touchdowns at Arkansas in his career. He was early adopter of the Wildcat formation. It never really made its way into the NFL. And it's kind of faded out of the college game now because obviously we want the ball in our quarterback's hands. but there was regular occurrences that he was receiving the snap, either handing it off or throwing it or running it himself. Just constant highlight machine after highlight reel, and doing it in the SEC, where he's running past Alabama and LSU and all these other big name SEC defenses that are supposed to be all time, and it's Arkansas. So I just wish that he had a better opportunity. And I'm afraid that he got the same treatment. I mean, it was more injuries than anything else, but he just got thrown to the wayside, which is too bad.
His last season, he played in one game. He had 1 carry. He had -2 rushing yards.
Yeah, for them old Dallas Cowboys. Hey, one of his 2,000-yard seasons was for the Cowboys. One of his
He had
2,
3 rushing touchdowns.
1,000-yard seasons, not 2,000-yard seasons. I want to be clear about that. Okay, I'm done being the host. I'm done playing host forever.
Well, you cut off your camera twice.
Yep.
So as soon as I made you host, you were like,
I didn't do that.
And next time I'll try Avery. See what happens.
It already happened. You didn't even have to call on me.
All right, let's wrap it up. All right, that's all we have for today's show. Thanks for tuning in to episode 16 of 3 Guys, 6 Balls. And as always, don't forget to keep your balls played with. We'll see you next time.
Also, Mark Davis's haircut still sucks.